Hello, friends, and this is Rekha Karu, and I'm continuing the conversation on trauma. And I feel like before we even go further into really understanding the nuances of trauma, where trauma affects, trauma's connection to illness, trauma's interrelatedness to safety and connection, our nervous system, our gut feeling. It is important to understand our own body and our brain. So today I want to speak specifically about our nervous system, the brain and the nervous system. It is uh, the core of our existence, and we as human beings have evolved to have such a robust, phenomenal, refined, efficient nervous system. The mysteries of this nervous system and the brain are still unknown to us. We are still, the scientists are still trying to slowly find out this phenomenal system that we inhabit. And to understand trauma, it is very, very important also to understand our nervous system, how it functions, and also to even for not just for trauma, I think even generally in our day-to-day life, in our movements, in our life, in wanting to know ourselves, in even in understanding or knowing the potentiality of experiencing um, this the spirituality, what we call, spirituality again is such a vast word, um, is this complete being here and now and feeling this connection, not just to human life but to all of life and this universe, this cosmos, going far, far uh, to distances that we cannot even comprehend, the amount of zeros that exist, and yet the nearness of all these systems that exist in ourselves, and how the entire universe also makes up who we are, is part of our nervous system, and our ability to experience that and yet be this very speck of a dot in the scheme of things and experience that. And even that speck is so potent. Yeah, even that experience is so potent. And how do we really live that? And for that to really understand this nervous system, the human nervous system, which allows us to experience that. Today the research says that we share 75% DNA with a banana. Can you believe that? A banana. So when you're eating a banana, you have 75% DNAs that are genetic material that is the same. Yeah, with apes and it's even more. It is like 99, 98%. With cows, with every animal from a fly to an amoeba, we have so much connection to all of life on this planet. We, as human beings, we are the youngest, and it's just like in a family system, the youngest has all that is behind, that stands behind. Similarly, human being, the youngest on this planet, also has all of the life, and all of that has gone before it is also part of its connection. If we don't find that ability to experience that connection, we are doomed. We will end our own. We'll end our own existence on this planet. Yeah, and so that is why I feel it is quite relevant today, because we have moved away, so far away from our nervous system, from this connection to all of life. And I feel like the imprints of this connection is part of our nervous system itself. It is encoded in who we are, in how we are formed. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the human nervous system, and recently I was in a workshop, a 3 day workshop called Sacred Wounds, hosted and organized by Science and Non-Duality Conference, and it was a session with Peter Levine, Effie and Joshua. These are the 3 facilitators. Effie and Joshua are also the core trainers of SC, and they stand in the lineage of Peter Levine. So, and Joshua, one of the instructors, he made this presentation on the nervous system, and it was, I just loved it. And so this is inspired from there, and then I went deeper, as is my interest. So the human nervous system, we all have learned this in school. We have been taught this in school, but nobody tells us the relevance of any of it. And of course, I don't think we knew, because so much about the trauma and its connection of how the brain develops. And all of that, is quite new over the last maybe 20 years. And some of the researchers are still trying to make this really etched into the systems or integrated into the systems, and I can see the difficulty in that, because once you know your own self, then for capitalistic, consumeristic culture to exist becomes difficult. So I feel like the economy will try, those who control the economy and money and power will try as much as possible for the human consciousness to not know this. Majority of the human consciousness to never know this. So you do not know that you can heal yourself. You can take care of your illness. Yeah, the answer to all your problems are in you. So that nobody really wants you to know. So let's know our human nervous system. So the human nervous system consists of 2 branches. Yeah, one is the central nervous system, and the other is the peripheral nervous system. So what is the central nervous system? So the human body system consists of so many systems, right? The digestive system, the circulatory system, the excretory system, the endocrine system. So we know all that, and the nervous system, right? So I am specifically going to the nervous system because it brings everything else into its fold. Yeah. So the human nervous system consists of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. What is the central nervous system? The central nervous system, if you have to give an example, in my home, I have the main power box. Right? If anything is wrong, I would actually go and look there, and then I will see where else is the issue. But the main core power, there's a power box in my house which has has pointers to every other electrical network in my house. So that main power box, that's the central nervous system. So in our human body, our central nervous system consists of our brain and the spinal cord. Yeah. So the brain and the spinal cord and the neurons in the spinal cord, right? The relay neurons. We have these relay neurons in our brain, which they are interconnected. So they keep passing information, and they do it so fast. Yeah. So these 2 are part of the central nervous system. Now, so if anything happens to our spine, we are doomed. Right? We are gone. Everything else might be great, but if the spine it doesn't work, or our relay neurons are affected, then of course that's a huge problem. But even if a central nervous system is functional, how does the information reach to all the other systems? How is it I'm able to speak this way, move my hands as I speak, have all these feelings and emotions and expressions, and the way I'm sitting, all of this, that is the part of the peripheral nervous system. Yeah. So the peripheral nervous system is what? It consists of the cranial nerves. Yeah, the nerves, the neurons in our brain, the nerve system in the spinal cord, and all the other nerves which move from the spine into the different organs, into our muscles, and the skeletal system, everything. So this entire nerve network, which goes from the brain and the spine to all the other parts of the body, that allows us to walk, that allows us to move our hands, respond to stimuli, be stimulated, rest, digestion, blood circulation, all of this. Yeah, that entire communication channel. So the peripheral nervous system, it communicates with the body and the central nervous system. So it's like all the wiring of your house, the entire wiring, which goes from the main power box to every other, the bulb or the geyser, the refrigerator, every single thing. The entire wiring, electrical network is the peripheral nervous. It's like the peripheral nervous system. So these two together, house and function, make it possible for us to function in this world. So the peripheral nervous system consists of, again, two branches, or should I say two complexes. One is the sensory nervous system, or the sensory neurons, or the sensory complex, and the motor complex. So what is a sensory complex? Sensory complex is based on all our senses, right? Which brings information from the senses, sight, sound, skin, and it brings information about the environment to the brain. That's the role of the sensory complex. So from sensory receptors to the central nervous system. And this is a phenomenal system. Yeah, so like if we just say skin, our skin, just a small, if you looked under the microscope, there are millions of cells that are forever bringing information. Yeah, then our sight, our eyes, the sound that we hear, smell, taste, and these are forever working in ways that we cannot even comprehend, right? So there's a whole sensory, so from the senses to the brain. So that's how the brain makes all its decision making. So there's a whole sensory nervous system by itself. And then there is a motor nervous system. Based on what the sensory nervous or the sensory neurons bring as input to the brain, we are able to move, speak, do all the things that we do. Yeah, so motor neurons are all our motor, our functionality, basically all the functionality is controlled by the motor complex or the motor neurons. Yeah, so it is even our muscles, our bones, are feeling hungry when you eat the food getting digested, the regulation of the heart, the lungs, the entire system. Yeah, is part of the motor complex. Yeah, and so the motor complex or the motor neurons. So let me just show this to you here. Yeah, here, right? So we have the sense. So we have the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, and then we have the part of the peripheral nervous system. We have the sensory and the motor complex or the motor neurons. Now, motor neurons, is now again very complex, right? Because it is the entire functionality of the body, what it is doing. So the motor complex consists of two core limbs. So this is where, all the drama of being inhibiting this body is happening. Yeah. And so the motor complex consists of two main branches. One is the somatic, or in India we used to call it the voluntary nervous system. Yeah, the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Yeah, so the somatic nervous system, it's about the body, right? Our ability to, like as I'm talking, I have choice. I'm moving this. I can move my bodies, my muscles, and this is voluntary. Like I can consciously, with intention. Now I can choose to stand up or sit, I'm hungry, I can pick a glass of water and drink, but I cannot create hunger. You see? So not that. So this aspect of me that is that I can choose, make an intention. I see something, so already the sensory no neurons have worked everything, and I see it, and I can choose to move towards it or not to move towards it. So this entire function of the body, yeah, which involve the skeletal system, the muscular system, the limbs, and the entire body moving congruently. That is the somatic nervous system. So it is voluntary, it is with conscious thought, there is intention, there is control. And then there is this, and even that is only a small part, I feel, the somatic nervous system. What we feel like we have full control of what's going on, right? But that is still such a small part of this entire body's functioning. The core aspect, the juiciest part of this entire nervous system is the autonomic nervous system, which is the involuntary nervous system. Not discounting all of course they all work. It's only the human brain has this idea that something is better, good or bad. But in this entire human system to function, in congruence, all these systems are essential. Yeah. And then part of the motor neuron system is the somatic, which is the voluntary, and the autonomic nervous system, which is the involuntary. What does that mean? It means that it cannot be controlled through intention or thought, like our heartbeat. Yeah, our heart is regulated. Yeah, our breathing. Imagine if we had to control our heartbeat all the time, the amount of stress that we will go through, or that the breath comes in and out without us having an effort. It's naturally built into the rhythm. Us feeling hungry, thirsty, wanting to drink water, and when you drink something, how all these things function, how the food goes through the esophagus, and how the windpipe and the esophagus, the food doesn't go into the nostrils. How all these things are happening on its own. Yeah, when the food goes into the stomach, how the acids are released so that the food can be digested, and then how the food moves through the intestines, and how the intestine moves to move the food or digest it, absorb the nutrients, and what does the liver do along with it, and the pancreas and the gallbladder, the spleen, and the urinary bladder, and how the digested food is then chosen to be released, and for that what signal needs to be, so this entire involuntary movement, like if you have to pee, only so much you can control, and then your pee will, the pee will come out of your body, right? And so this, elimination, excretion, so there is a built-in intelligence which is taking care of all of these movements, and that is the autonomic nervous system. Hiccups, having hiccups, goosebumps, you cannot control goosebumps, right? All those are also part of the autonomic nervous system. So the trauma, when we have trauma, it is actually part of the autonomic nervous system. That is why I keep saying that with our mind, we cannot release our trauma, because it's involuntary. It just takes over the entire nervous system when there is trauma. We cannot function normally. Yeah? So the autonomic nervous system consists of two branches, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is where, what I spoke on I think in the very second, where I spoke about trauma, I spoke about the brake pedal and the gas pedal. So the sympathetic nerve, so as I have been speaking, my sympathetic nervous system was really activated. There's a lot of arousal, and then comes the parasympathetic. I have to exhale and breathe down and cool down my system. So this is happening all the time. So sympathetic nervous system is like the gas pedal of your car, and parasympathetic nervous system is like the brake pedal. Yeah. And in my own work of the cyclic dark light rhythm, yeah, I would say the day or the light rhythm is the sympathetic rhythm of arousal, waking up, getting into action, doing, movement. That is the sympathetic nervous system. Our inhalation is the sympathetic nervous system, and our exhalation is the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system is connected to rest and digestion, to rest and digest. And that means even those aspects of integration, to be able to choose something and reflect and allow it to be assimilated into our body, that is also parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, their functionalities are completely opposite. They are opposing in nature, but they complement each other. And it is because they are opposing, it's like one is pushing this way, one is pushing this way, and because of this, we have homeostasis. There's a homeostasis. We have this alignment, the center, here and now. So this function, where they both are complementing each other. Yeah? So that means as we get active, we also need to rest. Yeah. So like when I do my dark light rhythm, the women's in the navigation system, I all speak about this, the light and activity and how we need the rest, because it's when we rest is when the digestion, the elimination, the absorption, the assimilation of nutrients, all of that happens in the body. So that's connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. And as we rest and as we slow down, we're also able to connect, feel safe, experience this very deep aspect of our own selves, our presence. So all that is connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. So for me, let me just take a breath. So this what you saw, this whole passionate discourse that I'm part of, my heart is pounding. I have kind of a release of an adrenaline, and if I keep doing this, I'm going to literally exhaust my body. Yeah, and I'm realizing this, So the sympathetic nervous system, in addition to mobilizing our body system, our ability to, we wake up in the morning and we feel like getting up out of the bed and facing the world and be excited and being inspired. And then we also need to, pull back and slow down. So this movement, so sympathetic nervous system is that when its light is on, you are there, you're moving, you're excited. So your adrenaline is, kicks in, or if there are deadlines, the cortisol, like these are great things. They support us to have excitement and that for life. And at the same time, sympathetic nervous system is also responsible for our ability to fight, to respond, to react. No, I do not like it. Or whenever there's a threat or unsafety, to defend ourselves, to fight, or to flee, knowing that, oh my God, this is too much, I cannot fight, I need to get out of here. So it is a very old system. Yeah, it is a system which is part of the mammalian system. So it has been, it exists in mammals for millions of years, or billions of years, right? And so that is the sympathetic nervous system. So some of the functionalities of sympathetic nervous system is heart increasing. When sympathetic nervous system is on, we have increased heart rate. I'm just going to say some of those things: sweating, dilation of the pupil, or when it is threat, you do not to be able to see anything and get distracted, but to have this tunnel vision so that you can get out of that situation or fight that situation. That is also part of the sympathetic nervous system, and it is fully activated and on board. It does many things, like if you see when there is a very deep threat, or when you're very excited, you will see that your sweat, your saliva kind of reduces in your mouth, starts feeling dry. We say that the mouth is feeling dry. Imagine just before you have to make a presentation. In the animal world, their threats were so different than we are. They're facing every moment predators. Yeah, for us it's very different, right? How do we challenge ourselves? Giving presentation, taking up these big, tasks and wanting to complete it and meet the deadline and have this hierarchical structure. So we create predators. That's what humans do. We create dangers for us to feel excited, take risks, and then you feel this. You have butterflies in your stomach. When you're working, when you're very excited, working on something, aroused, working on something, you will see that you will forget hunger. You don't even remember that you're hungry. Your excretion, gets stopped. Even your digestion gets stopped, gets inhibited. So when people are too much in this work activity mode, you will see that the digestion gets completely inhibited. Yeah, if you're forever in the fight, in the sympathetic nervous system keeps working for you. Even when you come home, it's time to slow down. You cannot switch. Yeah, when that is there, it compromises your digestion. It really hits your digestion. There is unnecessary stimulation, and that causes release of adrenaline and cortisol, which is really not needed. And then another thing, when sympathetic nervous system, so with this excited nervous system, not the homeostasis, okay, this excited nervous system, the feverishness, we are, it's very subtle. Also, I'm exaggerating it, but it could also be very subtle that we are forever, there is this, like that. And our urinary bladder, whenever the sympathetic nervous system is on, our bladder walls relax. That means it can store more urine without having to release. So sometimes that's when you're working on projects and you're in a team and you're discussing, you forget that you have to pee. It's only when that's over and the body kind of shifts, you realize, oh my God, you haven't peed. Yeah. So when the sympathetic nervous system is activated, these are some of the things that can happen. Yeah. I'm just looking at what else can I talk about. Even sexuality gets inhibited. Our ability for orgasm, for men, erection, that gets compromised. You're not able to because of the system. It inhibits these movements because the sympathetic nervous system is an evolutionary system which came into existence in mammals, four-legged animals who could fight. In mammals, to fight and flee is how this system came into existence. So what do you need for all of that is what gets activated when your sympathetic system is activated, and that compromise all the other systems. Your heart rate is increasing, your breath increases. What else? So you can have more oxygen, because if you need to run and things like that, then you really need that kind of support. Yeah, and it inhibits the digestion. So one of the things that I have known for me, for many of my life, even as a child and school, one of the things that I always felt was constipation or inhibition of digestion. My digestion. So I'm realizing more and more, I need time to relax and to move into activity. And then all my systems function beautifully, and I feel like during childhood, the school, wake up early morning, go to school, all those kind of rushedness of school and competition, all these things, of being, and this constant pressure to come first in class, to excel, all those were forever in a fight-flight mode. And that, I think, had a lot of effect on my nervous system. So that is the sympathetic nervous system. So you're forever in that, doing. It's a doing system. And exactly in opposing. Yeah, and when you're in the sympathetic nervous system, this is not research, I'm just saying from my own personal experience, this system is really on because it's a moving. You really can't see the other. Yeah, it's like being on a train. A train is moving really fast. When you look out, things just go like that. You cannot really see. To see someone to feel someone, to really be there, you really need to slow down, to see everything, to enjoy something in its fullest. And that is why the connection aspect, the social connection, love, presence, these aspects are actually connected with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is about resting, which is about slowing down, and then feeling connection. The heart slows down, the breath relaxes, or when the parasympathetic nervous system is triggered, we hold our breath. So we are not able to breathe. That can also be digestion increases when in the parasympathetic nervous system. It enables digestion to happen. It enables sleep. Increased urine secretion. So the urethra sphincter muscle is relaxed. So in sympathetic nervous system, that is held tightly. So though you can hold urine more, you forget to pee. It's not forget. You don't have the instinct to pee. And in a parasympathetic nervous system, you pee. So when there is too much fear, when the parasympathetic nervous system is triggered, you pee. So bedwetting, children doing all of that is also connected to a very deep freeze response, a helplessness, So the parasympathetic nervous system in the animal kingdom, it is the earliest, it is pre-mammalian system. So it was in the reptiles, the amphibian, so if you see a lizard or even a cockroach, if you hit it, you think it's dead. It just freezes, and then if you don't pay attention, it gets up and runs. If you kill a cockroach, you think you've killed, and you don't do something about it. Next day morning you come, it is not there. It is gone. It has found itself. So it will pretend to be dead. So lizard, all these are like that. They just freeze and you think it's dead. You hit it and you think they're dead, but they are not dead, So they have this inbuilt. So it's a very old response of extreme threat, because they are helpless insects. They are very helpless. They are not like mammals with, limbs and movement and you can go like that. They cannot. They are at the beck and call of their predators. So they learn all these methods. So freezing or fainting, this is a parasympathetic nervous system movement. And I'm seeing that it is already 30 minutes. So maybe I think I'm going to make a separate video for the parasympathetic nervous system because it is such a huge topic with the vagus nerve and all of that. So I think this much is good. So I'm going to take some breath because I think my sympathetic nervous system was activated. I was not in homeostasis as I was giving this presentation. I was very, very excited. So my heart rate is really quite high. So these are things I'm discovering. Can I speak with passion but not having to, to get so excited that my sympathetic system. So after that, I have to take some time to really calm down, bring my heart rate to normal. So that's, I think this is good for sympathetic nervous system. It's like the quick responses. All these are part of the sympathetic nervous system. So I think I will stop with the sympathetic nervous system and tomorrow make a video on the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you enjoyed watching this and it was information to you, please comment or message me directly. Sometimes I don't go on Facebook other than uploading this video. You can message me if you have my number or email me. Blessed be.